Hi, I'm Jo from Core Connection Personal Training and from Buggy Bootcamp Bedford. Right, don't judge my cardigans. I'm going to show you what diastasis actually is, and I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. Okay, so your tummy is made up of, so first layer is your TVA. So this is my TVA. So it's a band of muscle that stretches all the way around, and it's joined together with this connective tissue here. Okay, it's my nice masking tape. Okay, so it's a band of tissue that wraps all the way around and joins with this tissue here. So that's our first layer. Then we have internal obliques with a nice red cardigan. So that's the next layer of our abdominals, and that also joins into that same piece of connective tissue. Okay, so this connective tissue is called your linea alba. Right, so that's our TVA, and then our internal obliques, and then, in a nice green colour, we've got our external obliques. Okay, so it's another layer, and that again attaches into that linea alba. Sorry, I'm a bit off centre here. Okay, and then on the top we have got our rectus abdominis. So our six-pack muscles are really strong ones, and they too attach into that linea alba. Okay, so this here, this connective tissue here, is placed under enormous pressure just in everyday life anyway. So these six-pack muscles here, they help us bend forward. These internal and external obliques help us to twist and bend, okay? And this TVA, that's part of our core, okay? So we've got a TVA, pelvic floor, diaphragm, and our lower back muscles, and that all works together to form our core, okay? So when we're pregnant, this is my lovely baby. So when we're pregnant, oh, don't do that again. When we're pregnant, our TVA and that linea alba, so you think, so baby's behind all of that, so you think all those muscles are stretched. So this is often stretched anyway, okay, so it will always be affected, but for some ladies, it doesn't just ping back into shape. Okay, look, see, I'm a bit wonky now. So you've just had baby, and your TVA is a bit baggy, and your linea alba is weakened and elongated and stretched. So when you've had a baby, when you start exercising, when you start doing pelvic floor and core work, it's really, really important that you get this TVA working, okay? It's your TVA working that will then flatten all of this, okay? If you have diastasis, it means that this is quite is stretched, and it means that you haven't got any tension in between. So if you can stick your fingers in between the muscles, it means that this this connective tissue has not got the tension there, okay? So when we're testing for diastasis, okay, this is what we can feel, okay? So we lift our head, so you'd have to do it lying down, you can't do it standing up. So we'd lift your head and you'd feel for the tension, and we're looking for a gap in between these two muscles here. But in effect, it's all these layers, isn't it? I've lost a layer, okay? It's just trying to simplify it, just trying to show you how complex your tummy is. So if you've got diastasis and you go and do some strong ab exercises, okay? So if I'm going to do my crunches and I've got diastasis, so I'll do my crunch. These muscles will work so strongly that they're going to just make the gap wider. Okay, then they're just going to be, you'll just be exercising this top layer, and you won't be strengthening this TVA. So it's super important that if you've got diastasis, so several things. So you need to make sure that you're breathing properly. Okay, so if you're not breathing into your ribs, and then as you breathe out, everything flattens. If you have become a belly breather due to pregnancy, then your tummy isn't going to be in a position to heal. So that's the first thing you need to address. At the same time, you also need to address your posture. So if posture changes massively during pregnancy, so if you are left with an anterior tilted pelvis and an upper cross syndrome, so shoulders are tipped forward, you can end up with a totally pushed out tummy, which again is not going to help healing because these tissues will be under tension already just from your posture. Okay, so you need to adjust your posture using exercises and stretches. You'll need to make sure that you're doing pelvic floor really properly. Pelvic floor, like I said, is attached to your core, so by learning how to do pelvic floor correctly, you start working that TVA. And then there's lots of different exercises that you can do that work your TVA. During bootcamp and in my personal training, we use lots of bands, so lots of mini bands, physio bands, resistance bands, because they create tension. You can create a lot of tension in your TVA. You can use them to really practice that breath, and they're very easy to use at home as well. Right, I think that's about it. I hope that made a bit of sense. It's a real tricky thing when you've got diastasis. There's no magic fix. Everyone's very individual. Some people might have a gap up here and not here. Some people will have a gap all the way along. Some people will always have a gap but will have lots of tension in between. Some people might have a tiny gap but have no tension in between. So there's lots of different things to look at and work out if you're doing the right type of exercise. If your gap is bigger than 2.5 fingers, okay, so 2.5 fingers across, it's really important that you go and see a women's health physio just for some additional support in your recovery. A lot of the time, because your core is made up of that TVA, pelvic floor, diaphragm and lower back, if we have diastasis, we've often got lower back problems, we've often got pelvic floor issues as well. So it's really, it incorporates a lot of different things and a lot of different thought. So yes, I hope that made sense. All right, bye bye, thanks for listening.